A quick trigger warning before you begin this episode. I speak about my experience in an abusive relationship. I talk about the death of a friend, depression, and suicide. Take care of your mental health. Love you. Hello. Before we get into this episode, I was listening back before I published it, and I did not properly credit Kiara Marie for the little quote I sort of used at the beginning. I started talking about her email after and didn't specify that in her email she wrote, and I don't have it in front of me, but something along the effects of you can't see the beauty of the entire puzzle when you're just a piece. And I used that kind of loosely. And then I started talking about her email and her and to follow her and she's amazing, etc. But I just wanted to make sure that it was very clear that that is from her email and that is her work. So that being said, I hope you enjoy the little story episode. And also, I don't know when you'll be listening to this, but if it's timely, on December 19th, I am planning a special event to celebrate Kiera Grace's birthday. And you will hear more about what I mean by it being her birthday in this episode. If you find yourself interested to an event with me, it's going to be a group meditation, channeling session, some breath work on Zoom. I haven't gotten the details yet, but get at me on Instagram and you will get all the details. Just stay tuned. Okay, bye. I have a story and I don't know the moral of it yet. Well, perhaps I do, and I imagine the little lessons will be scattered in between. One lesson for me in this moment is reckless abandonment of perfectionism and everything that I have attached to it. Recording this podcast on my voice memo in a living room with noise in the background, with no intention to edit pauses out of it or background noise or the ums or the likes, no notes to keep this story cohesive, and just kind of grounded in the intention that the new way, I believe, for us as human beings is to connect from a space of the imperfection being divinity. Past perfection, but pure divinity. That Creator has made no mistakes within our being and our experience. And the more that we show up for ourselves with that softness and acceptance and realizing that the mess, what seems messy and what seems so chaotic, is a part of the divine. It's just a part of the tapestry. You can't see the finished puzzle when you are a piece of the beauty. So, anyway, I got an email this morning from, oh my gosh, the name's evading me, but I will put this in the notes because I want you to follow her. I want you on her email list. She's incredible. I think it's Kiera. I can look it up real fast because I don't want to mess this up and I want to honor her because her email really opened my heart. Kiera Marie. She is a human design expert, a channel. I mean, I know very little about her, but just from her email, this is purely channeled. She has an email list and it's called The Unseen, and it is beautiful. So anyway, she encouraged us to kind of look up the human design chart, which is it's based on astrology, right? So similar to if you're looking up your astrology chart with your birth time, date, location. So she encouraged us to do this with our business. And my business is Cure Grace, LLC. It's an energy where I create energy exchange for what I choose to channel within that business, right? My intuitive work, that's what it is for me. And to kind of like intuitively choose a date of the birth of your business and location, etc. So I'm kind of like thinking about this, like, well, when was she born? When was she really born? It's not a year ago when I started Instagram for her. When was this born? And this brings me into my story because her 2-year birthday is coming up and I want to talk about her and I want to share with you some deeper insights around Cure Grace. Because I'm Kirsten Grace Schroeder, and Cure Grace is my beautiful, wise business. And we are one, but we are also separate. And we're learning from one another. And even if you don't have a business, know that every venture, every goal and an intention are energy aspects of you, but also hold their own growth within them and mirroring for you. So, I want to talk about a little story about Cure Grace. And so as I was thinking about, when was she born? Really, a memory came to mind of my first public in-person channeling. And that was December 19th, 2019 at 7 p.m. in Avon by the Sea, New Jersey. Now, I didn't go as far back as when I was doing readings on Etsy or, for friends or channeling. Because then it would be when I was little, right? I really wanted to tap into when Cure Grace stood up and said, "It's safe to be seen." And December 19th, 2019, I want to talk a little bit about what brought her to that moment, because 2019 was, I could cry even thinking about it, was a insane year for Kirsten. And I didn't realize that Cure Grace was going to be born out of that pain. So it all started January 19th, 2019, which is, I am actually literally just connecting that it's exactly 11 months after. My dog, Russell, my best friend, my twin flame, my anchor, my everything, passed away. He transitioned. He was 16, almost 16 years old. I had him since I was 16. I might be doing the math wrong, but whatever. He was either 15 or 16, or something, something like that. I was 16 when I got him as a puppy. I actually delivered him. I was dating someone in high school whose lab, he was a yellow lab, was pregnant. And I delivered the first little baby, the first puppy. And it was Russell. It was my dog. And he was actually the only puppy in the whole litter, which is very rare. And so he was given to me. And in January 2019, I was 30 years old. So that's a lot, that's an incredible amount of time and growth, with this being. And he died, and a part of me died. If you have a connection with an animal, I don't have to explain the devastation within that. So that happened, and my world felt crumbled. I didn't think it could crumble anymore, but it was about to. At the time, I was a nanny, full-time nanny. I'd been doing that since I dropped out of college at age 21. So almost 10 years at that point. And I felt really stuck in it, but I was under the impression that I had nothing else to give. I had no other skills. I didn't have a degree. I didn't have family money. I had spent over $10,000 on a credit card with vet bills prior to Russell's death. So I felt stuck. I had also been in the relationship that I was in for 8 years, and it was an abusive relationship, extremely psychologically and emotionally abusive, and occasionally physical. I don't want to go into the details of that, but it was very, very difficult. And I'm sure some of you listening understand that, whether you're in it right now or you've been in it. A little side note here, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, okay? So there's that. I was stuck. I felt stuck. The only thing I could think of was, I guess I have to go back to school and get some sort of degree. Now, part of my abusive relationship was this person was extremely religious. And it didn't start out that way. When you're in a relationship with a narcissist, a legit narcissist, it starts off really slow, right? The red flags are like kind of spaced out, and they're like maybe like a light red, and then within a few years, it's like you're surrounded by red flags, and it felt stuck. So I wasn't allowed to be spiritual. At 21, when I dropped out of college, I started immediately studying Kundalini Yoga. So studying, getting certified, and teaching. And at that point, by the time Russell died, I had stopped teaching yoga. I put away all of my crystals, all of my spiritual stuff. I accepted that, okay, maybe a part of this incarnation and my life lesson is that it's supposed to be private. And I'm supposed to accept not being seen. My ego has to put it aside, and I have to accept everyone. I have to accept going to church. I have to accept being told that I'm satanic. And so on and so on and so on. I stopped wearing jewelry. I stopped so many things. Okay? Nothing was safe. I think I didn't feel safe. So Russell died, and I felt painfully unsupported emotionally. And devastated and stuck, all the things. All right. So that was January. A few weeks later, I lose my jobs. Maybe it was like a month later. So like February or March, in between there, I had multiple different jobs as a nanny. I was doing newborn care. I had some overnight contracts, and money was tight, and I depended on these. And then each one just like oddly fell through. And nothing I did wrong, but just, as a nanny, like family situations change, obviously. Like a 2-year-old starts going to school. A grandmother moves in and can take care of the baby. All of these things kind of occurred. A mother decides she's able to leave her job and spend time with her kids. She doesn't need a nanny anymore, which is beautiful, right? So there really wasn't resentment involved within those relationships at all. It was really just the universe. And so I was also in a situation, those last 6 months, I had some very serious health issues where I was every few weeks, at least once a month, on the floor throwing up with a fever. Very sick. And, at first it was like, okay, stomach bug, food poisoning, but it kept happening. And I would get blood work done and just no answers. So very sick. So April comes along and I don't know. I was just going through the phases, right? And a very dear friend of mine passes away. This beautiful being was in a lot of pain and she chose to go home. And I don't even know if words can, again, express the layers of that sadness and devastation. And that was hard for a lot of people. Obviously, this beautiful being, so loved. Her name is Lori. She's just a beautiful angel. And yeah, that happened. And then a few weeks later, I was really sick. Again, I was on the floor, the sickest I've ever been. And I was sobbing, just of all of the loss and the fear and I felt so purposeless. And I had been kind of contemplating the idea before Lori chose to leave of just leaving, not being here. And I was thinking about it, So I'm on the floor, I'm sick as hell, and I say out loud, what am I here for? What is the point of this? And it was like a mix of like actually alive, like why am I alive? And also a mix of like, why am I sick on the floor? If ever, what is the lesson? What is the lesson here? And all of a sudden, and this is very like Eat, Pray, Love-esque, right? All of a sudden, this wave comes over me. And the answer is just, you need to surrender. You need to stop everything you're doing. Everything you're doing. So what was I doing at the time? I was still trying to survive in an abusive relationship. I was at the time trying to push myself to make a decision about going back to school and I think it was I was going to become a teacher or something. Or a dietitian. I don't know what the plan was, but it was something to prove my worth. That's what I was doing. I was alone, all the things. And this calm came over me. It's like every ounce of my energy that was external and trying to push me in all these different directions moved back inside. And for about 3 or 4 weeks, I was in the most passive, observant state. Can't explain it. And I started seeing my life for what it was. I started seeing my relationship and realizing, oh, I'm not the problem, am I? I just saw the abuse for what it was. So, in one of those, it was even just thinking back, I'm like, whoa. So, in those few weeks, I was just like, oh, wow, well, I don't even remember mentally reacting to anything. It was so interesting. Some might say it's like a deep depression. Other might say it's teetering on enlightenment. Whatever it was. I ended up at the beach with my friend on the summer solstice, 2019. And I was writing in my journal about seeing the argument with my then boyfriend with love. I had just been screamed at, called the C word, all these different names. My aloe plant flew across the room. My printer flew across the room. And I sat there and I was like, okay, I'm gonna ride my bike to the beach and meet my friend. And I'm writing about how I can see this person's pain and suffering, blah, blah, blah. And then my friend turns to me, this beautiful friend, I don't have words. And she just goes, did you ever think that maybe he's abusive? And it just clicked. We walked into the ocean. I looked up at the sky, and it was done. There was no internal argument or question or doubt. My relationship was done because I decided. I kid you not, I turn around and this person's walking down the beach. That night, I say it's over, it's done. Narcissists don't take that well, obviously. I thank God that my dad was with me. He was staying with me from down south. He came up and he stayed with me. He was with me for a few weeks, a couple months actually, that summer. And so I told my dad everything. I said, I'm done with this person. I want all of their stuff out because they were like partly living with me also at the time. I'm never talking to this person again. Can you take care of it? And he's like, yep, you're my daughter. It's done. Don't worry about it. Block his number. I have his number. I'm dealing with it. And he dealt with it. And I never spoke to that person ever again. I ended up having to file police reports, etc., for stalking and harassment and so on, but it was done. Okay, so that was kind of a lot, but this is the birth story. And whether I'm the only person who ever listens to this or not, I feel like it's beautiful to tell. It's hopeful. So, wow. That summer, I've never felt so free in my life. I was free. That freedom. I didn't have money. I didn't have any jobs lined up. I didn't have a partner. I was grieving, but I was free. My health issues went away. I haven't been sick like that since. I haven't had a stomach bug since. Yeah, so in that summer, I think it's another episode of manifestation, like another episode, but I'll go through really quick. Within 3 weeks, I met my now boyfriend, my like on paper soulmate, dream man, friend, boyfriend. I met an entire new group of friends. I mean, just like my life just kind of changed, but I did nothing. You know what I mean? All came to me. That's a whole nother episode, honestly. Like how to manifest, I guess, whatever. Basically, it's like pull back and ignore everything. Okay. And so we move into fall, right? And I'm with someone who I can talk to channeling about. I can talk to my dreams of doing readings. I started nannying again. And I just started to feel so free to be myself and realize that my gifts that I've had my entire life don't need to be suppressed, and I can talk to my angels aloud and I can share with people what I'm experiencing and seeing. And so a friend of mine told me about a local little crystal shop looking for like meditation teachers. This owner wanted to do little events, and I thought, okay, I would like to do something different than teach just Kundalini. I want to channel. I want to offer these different things to people and myself. And so I went there, or I messaged her on Instagram. I reached out. To this day, this is 2 years ago, this owner of this shop is one of the most amazing people I've ever met in my life. The most supportive person. Beautiful, amazing. And she was just like, yeah, let's do it. Go for it. And I did it. I created my first event of public channeling. And it sold out. It filled the room. I wanted to barf leading up to it because I was like, WTF am I doing? Why did I just say WTF? I curse on this podcast. I was like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm so scared. Holy shit. It was a Kundalini meditation and angel channeling. So I specified angelic channeling. And I think in that moment, sitting there on the floor of that little back room, which is now, it's evolved into a whole other space that I do events at in person. After that, it evolved into, I started doing readings at the shop and they'd sell out, and it just was like birthed. So yeah, it's almost her 2-year birthday, and what brought me to really reflecting upon all of this is lately, I don't know, if you follow me on social media and stuff, you know that I've been kind of like a little MIA, not completely, but like I usually show up pretty consistently because I love it and it's fun and whatever, but I've been a little MIA, and my inner critic has been beating the hell out of me. Even this morning, I was crying thinking that I'm gonna be 34 and I'm such a loser. Like, I still, like, the ends meet. My ends meet, that I don't have all these things I want, and I don't have a baby, and aren't I supposed to have a house? Like, all these things, right? And not just berating myself, but if I look at Kier Grace as a separate entity, a separate being, and I look at what happened for her to birth, she's still a baby. The wisdom that is channeled is not new. The ability to channel and share a gift isn't new. But just about 2 years ago, Kier Grace felt brave enough, And for me to like berate like her and be like, why aren't you an empire? Like, that's crazy. So I guess I ask you, where are you berating yourself? And can you hug him or her or they or, whatever it might be, however you identify with that. That's my dog coughing in the background. Yeah, so just like getting that email and realizing like, oh my God. Whoa. I want you to reflect on like what you've survived. What have you made it through? And maybe you're in the middle of it. And I want to tell you that like you're not alone, and I promise you can do it. You can breathe through this. You can survive. You can have moments where you see your life as really beautiful and divine, and there's nothing wrong with you. It's so easy on social media to look around and be like, oh my God, I'm not on an island making 10K a month, like with my soulmate. What's wrong with me? I'm going to tell you this. You are the norm. Okay? It's normal to just be like, you're normal. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe you live in your hometown. Or you just, it's just such an illusion. All of that stuff. And people using certain things that are very trendy, right? To maybe prop up something that they're insecure about. I don't know. But it's also not our job to know. What your job is to know is that you are okay. There is nothing wrong with you. The struggles in your life are valuable, and someday you'll look back and you could drop to your knees in tears and be so proud of yourself. Because that's kind of how I'm feeling today. I'm very mushy, very like tears, but also like humbled. You are going to be humbled by your own journey because it is valuable. Your journey is valuable. It might not be eat, pray, love where you move to Bali, right? You might not start an Instagram and gain 1 million followers and be famous because you whatever. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Cure Grace, locally, having 10 people or 15 people listen to her channel angels is valuable. You holding your baby, your child, is valuable. You taking a walk outside and taking deep breaths is valuable. And I want you to feel valuable. I want you to feel safe exactly where you are. Perhaps that's the moral of the story, is that like, I'm telling this to myself too. Your value is not determined by the bank account or the goals that you've overcome, like whatever, gotten to. I mean, we live in even like the spiritual world has been taken over by this manifestation shit. I love manifestation. It's great. But there's so much more to it. All right? There's so much more to it. And at the base of all of it, you can go through fluctuations of like, it happens a lot in the early stages of spiritual awakening where you're like kind of ecstatic and you manifest all this great shit. But there's layers. And there's cycles. And yeah, you can quantum leap, but you cannot quantum leap out of your wounds and belief systems. They need to be looked at and sat with and integrated within the body and all layers of the self. And that's a reality of being a physical being and choosing to be here in physicality. So be with yourself today. Hug yourself. Drink water. You're okay. And I love you. And did this make sense? Maybe. If you find value in any of my work, my podcast or my email or my Instagram or wherever, please rate. Please share with someone who could maybe find value in it as well. I appreciate you so deeply. And I support you. Okay. Bye. Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Cosmic Tea. This week's episode is sponsored by me. It's just me. And I want to share with you the 2 ways that you can come into my vortex a little further if you feel the call. First thing is every month I open 6 to 8 spots for one-on-one galactic Akashic sessions. This is where I channel guidance from your guides, your ET guides, whoever comes through, and explore your galactic past parallel lives, your records, energy field. Absolutely nothing is off limits. You can get more information and access to booking and my waitlist at www.kiergrace.com. I will link that in the show notes. Also, the Starseed Sanctuary is my signature program and community for awakening starseeds, the one place that you can find all of my work, everything that you need to know about being a starseed, living as a starseed on Earth, understanding your unique energy system and why you're so sensitive, It's not meant to be a burden. It truly can be a gift. I want you to know how ascension relates to you in your daily life. I cover topics like, who are the Pleiadians? How do the Orion Wars affect us? What are the Orion Wars anyway? New Earth, 5D, all the things. But I'm not here just to brush over these hot topics. I also want to help you integrate and apply them to your daily life to create more joy and peace from the inside. I truly believe that is what we are all here to do as starseeds for the new earth. I have used these tools with hundreds of clients now, and of course in my own life. Kundalini breathwork, meditation, mantra, quantum inner child work, channeled meditation journeys, and workshops. All there for you. Also, the interactive Facebook group and private sanctuary podcast, where you get exclusive access to Q&A from me. So as you go along your journey, you can ask questions, you can connect with other people, channeled energy updates, and more. It's like a membership that you only pay once for, and you get lifetime access forever as we grow and evolve together. So show notes, take a look, ask me any questions. I'm here for you. Thank you for being here, and I hope you enjoy this episode.